بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. And welcome to another session of Quran analysis. We are doing Surah Al-Mulk. We have been doing Surah Al-Mulk, and inshallah we are on the last ayat. Hopefully soon we'll be finishing this surah. It's been a great journey, to be honest. But alhamdulillah for every blessing and ni'mah. So today we're going to look at the Nahw, the i'rab of Surah 26. Sorry, not Surah. Ayah 26, 27. And I don't know if we're going to have time to do ayah number 28. I am thinking we just stop at ayah number 27 and then we'll have a final session that will cover 28, 29, and 30. And also because ayah number 28 it requires a little bit of extra juices, extra brain focus. So I think we just do up to 27 and then we do the sarf of this and then we can call it a day, inshallah. All right. So I already did a video of ayah number 25, ayah number 23 to 25. So if you didn't catch that, you can watch later the recording. So that's available there. And if you have any questions, again, you can always ask in the group or you can ask me personally or you can ask here, whatever is comfortable for you, honestly. Yeah, so let's begin. So we had already done this kind of structure because the previous ayat, if you were to look, you would notice that they all start with this idea of qul, right? So it says, if we're to go back, you would see that qul huwa alladhi, yeah? قل هو الذي. So this structure, I already covered it in the recording, but maybe if you haven't watched it, so we're going to just repeat a little bit of that so that you can have a clear understanding of what's happening there. Okay. So قل قال يقول قولا فهو قائل, and then if you do the entire sarf, you'd come to الأمر منه قل والنهي عنه لا تقل. So قل, obviously here is a فعل أمر, right? So, and the fa'il is anta. And I realized that last time when I was doing the recording, I said huwa, and then I realized later on that no, obviously قل فعل أمر, you only have anta, أنتما, أنتم, أنتي, أنتما, أنتن only. Okay? So قل أنت قل, you say, right? You masculine person say. And of course, whatever comes after that, it's going to be مقول القول في محل نسب مفعول به of قل. Say what? So everything that comes after that is going to answer the question what, which means that it is the مفعول به. So all this sentence, إنما العلم عند الله وإنما أنا نذير مبين, this entire sentence is going to be مقول القول مفعول به of قال. Actually, I will do the bracket after so that it's clear what the maf'ul bihi is. So that's what's happening there. Okay? So now when you enter inside this maf'ul bihi fi mahalli nasib, what do we have? The first thing is we have innama. Now innama is made up of two parts. You have inna and you have ma. Okay? You have inna and you have ma. Now, normally, I want you to imagine that this ma is not there. If this ma is not there, then we have inna. What happens to al-ilmu? It stops being al-ilmu, it becomes al-ilma. Why? Because inna is harf mushabbah bil-fa'al. It's harf nasib, what we call harf nasib in bayna terminology, right? And it makes the ism mansub. This is supposed to be mansub. Inna al-ilma. But then you have this ma that comes, it's called ma al-kafa, which stops the inna from doing its job. So it knows, this ma knows that inna has a job to do. But I'm going to stop it from doing its job. I'm going to distract it. I'm going to block it so that it doesn't see the ism, right? So this is what this ma does. It comes in, blocks the inna from making this mubtada mansub. Now it just remains al-ilmu. right? So whenever you see this concept, this is what we call kafa and makfufa. So innama is what we call kafa, and makfufa. What does that mean? It means the stopped and the stopper and the stopped, the blocker and the blocked. So ma is the blocker, inna is the blocked. Ma is the stopper, inna is the stopped. That's what it means, really. Like ma is just stopping inna from doing its job. And that's why al-ilmu remains mubtada with a dhamma on it. It no longer has a fatha. Okay, so that's the idea. And of course, this idea, we talked about al-hasr before. When you see innama, this is the idea of hasr. This is the idea of limiting a particular concept to one thing or one person, right? So that's the idea. And of course, in English, we use the word only. So whenever you see innama, just think about only in your mind. Now, of course, now al-ilmu is the first rafa' that you see. That means al-ilmu is our mubtada. Mubtada. And of course, a mubtada needs a khabar. And here we have عند الله. عند is one of the special mudafs. Those special mudafs that we have we call them special mudafs in bayna. In grammatical labeling, we call them duruf. We call them darf. And darf is just like مفعول فيه. Like it either talks about time or it talks about a place. So either a time or a place. So for example, عند. عند is within. It's talking about a particular place. So عند is ظرف مكان. So this عند, we're going to say that عند is ظرف. And of course it's a مضاف, which makes اللفظ الجلالة here مضاف إليه. So that's kind of what is happening in that sentence. And of course, where's the khabar? So when you have عند الله, this is ظرف, and ظرف, just like jar majroor, is always going to be متعلق to something, right? Or is going to be attached or connected to something else, right? So here we have a mubtada, the khabar is mahdhuf, and this ظرف is متعلق to that khabar that was here. So let me give you an example. In English, we would say something like, so the sentence was supposed to be knowledge is present or is existent with Allah, right? So that was the original way of saying it. But even in English, sometimes we don't say it like this. We just say knowledge, knowledge is with Allah. What did I do with the khabar? Present. Present is the khabar. كائن موجود, right? So I omitted it because it's understood. I don't have to mention it all the time. That's what happens in this case as well. Instead of saying العلم موجود عند الله, I just say العلم عند الله. It's understood. So this عند الله is متعلق to the khabar that is محذوف. I hope that is clear. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to either drop it in the chat or unmute yourself and just speak to me. I don't have any objectives. So that's what's happening in that first portion. Then you have وَإِنَّمَا. Now here's a very simple trick. It doesn't happen all the time, but normally when you see a word and then you see waw harf atif, I'm already giving it away, and then you see the same word being repeated, then this is harf atif automatically. Because look, it's connecting this innama to this innama. Sometimes you see a verb mentioned and then the same verb being repeated. So it's connecting that verb to the verb that is being repeated. So it's harf atif, connecting one thing to the other, right? So that's a trick that you can use to identify what kind of wow is this? Is this wow harf atif? Is this wow haliya? Is this wow? What kind of wow is this? So that's kind of how one of the tricks. It doesn't happen all the time, important to note, but most of the time, this is how you can identify harf atif. So this is going to be harf atif. So this is atif and ma'tuf and isim ma'tuf. So this whole thing الله is being نذير مبين. We said إنما كافة and مكفوفة, the blocked and the blocker, the blocker and the blocked, right? It's the same i'rab we're going to do here. إنما is the same thing. And the same way that we did مبتدا علم is the مبتدا, أنا is also our مبتدا here, right? So أنا is our مبتدا. So we're looking at a جملة اسمية here. And then we have نذير. Look here, العلم, the khabar was missing because it's understood. But here we need the khabar. أنت ماذا? You cannot just say أنا. You what? I am something. I am great. I am tall. I am sleeping. You have to say I am something. You can't just say I am. You are what? You know? So you have to complete it. And that's why we have nadir is nakira, and is this nadir therefore is our khabar. And of course, the other quality of a khabar is that it is always, well, usually rafa. Yeah, always rafa actually. It's always in rafa. It is usually nakira, but always rafa. That is just something about the khabar. Anyway, then we see nadhirun mubinun. It's also nakira, just like nadir. It's also it's also marfu', just like nadir. Kind of, it's also mudhakkar, like it's matching for properties. And if it's matching for properties, then obviously exactly mawsuf sifa. So this is a sifa. So nadir is the mawsuf and mubin is the sifa. Beautiful. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So that's what's happening in that ayah. Okay. Any questions on that ayah? Great. What I'm going to do is we're going to just look at the translation here and see anything that stands out. So maybe we can just focus, because not so much grammar is happening in this ayah, not so much i'rab and points to note. So we're just going to look at innama, how different translators have captured this innama. Yeah, because that's the only thing that stands out, to be honest. Or maybe something new. So we have Mustafa Khattab says, say, O Prophet, the knowledge is with Allah alone. Notice he's saying, he's using, there's no alone here. Alone would be wahdahu. There's no wahdahu in this sentence. So where is he getting alone? Innama. This is where he's getting alone. And of course he says, and I'm only, innama ana nadhiru mubin. So innama here, you can see the only, and it keep recurring in different translations. Say the knowledge of that day is only, innama indallahi, is only with Allah. And I am only a plain warner again, right? So it has that emphasis that is being added, or weight that is being added into the sentence. Sahih says the knowledge is only with Allah, again only, and I am only a clear warner. Again, so you see that the way to translate innama is just only. Once you understand that, then everything becomes clear. Abdul Halim says God alone. So you see, is going with alone instead of only. So only, alone. But the idea is hasr. The idea is I'm restricting this particular idea or person or character or thing or person into one thing. I'm just limiting it to one thing. So I'm limiting knowledge only to Allah. So God alone has this knowledge. You understand? So that's the idea that is being presented here. And my only duty, so that's what is being captured. And again, so you see either alone, and here Maududi goes a little bit different. So he says, I am no more. When you say, this is just a phrase to say that I am, when I'm saying I am no more, it means this is the only thing I am. Yeah. If I am no more than a plain mourner, then I am just only a plain mourner. Right? So that's a negative way of saying the same thing. Honestly, I prefer only because it's more clear. This other one might confuse people, maybe, I don't know. Allahu Ta'ala alam. Pictol says, I am but a plain one. Nothing but a plain one. We see this in ma illa, nothing but. Again, that idea of hasr, just limiting it to one particular aspect. So that's kind of what is happening there. If we look at the layered translation, Again, say that knowledge lies solely. Again, you see these types of words, alone, only, solely, yeah, with God. And my role is only to convey clear warnings. So that's how you notice that innama is being captured in the sentence. Great. Okay, so let's continue to the next ayah. So that's as far as the translation is concerned. Now, so here, this fa, some of the grammarians have said that this fa is fa fasiha, but honestly, I feel like it makes more sense as isti'naf, like just a new sentence, like later or, when they see it, yeah, when they see it, zulfatan, si'at wujuhul ladina kafaru. So we're just going to say that this is isti'naf, but of course there's that possibility that it could be fa fasiha. So if you read some of the grammar books, they would say that this is fasiha. But to me, I don't know, I couldn't understand how it is fasiha, because وَإِنَّمَا أَنَا نَذِيرٌ مُبِينٌ. I don't see the connection with this, because remember, we said fa fasiha is what kind of a fa? This is the kind of a fa that tells you there's a mahdhuf sentence. There's a jumla here that is mahdhuf, and therefore, like, this is kind of like the jawab of it. So I couldn't see, maybe I'm not that knowledgeable for me to understand how it is coming in as fasiha. So I'm just going to go with the other explanation that was given that I found, and that this is isti'nafiyya. And to me, it's very comfortable. I can understand how this is isti'nafiyya. It's just beginning a new sentence. Remember, fa isti'nafiyya is just beginning a new sentence. It's not connected to the previous sentence grammatically. So there's a grammatical break between this sentence and the previous one. That's what fa does, right? And normally we don't translate this fa. If it's a fa that begins a sentence, we normally don't translate it, right? And again, we shall see in the translations how they try to capture this. Then you have lamma. لما ذهبت رأيتك. When I went, I saw you. لما, when I did this, I did that. When I did this, this and this happened. What does that tell you? This is a conditional sentence. So this lamma is شرطية. Or some have called it حينية or ظرفية. It's the same thing, really. It means when, course, because it denotes time. حين, it's حينية in that it denotes a time, but it's also أداة شرط. It indicates a conditional sentence, right? So لما شرطية, and of course رأوه would be the فعل شرط. Remember, جملة شرطية has three parts. A conditional sentence has three parts. So you have the أداة شرط, the tool of creating the condition, and then you have the فعل شرط, the verb of condition, the verb that creates the condition, and then you have jawab shart, the response to the condition. So those are the three parts to a jumla shartiya. We've identified one, adatu shart. رأوه فعل شرطية. Okay, and so this is, and when you look at it, رأوه, رأى, this is فعل ماضي. Okay, this is فعل ماضي. رأى يرى, and we have done this quite a bit, actually, the sarf of it. So if you can look at previous records, I'm pretty sure if you go to the word bank, you would see the sarf of it. I don't think we will be doing it today. Yeah, because we've done it a number of times, to be honest. So you can always find it there. So رأى, رأوه, هو رأى, هما رأيا, هم رأوا. So we know that here now, who is the fa'il? Is hum. رأوا. The waw al-jama'a, this one. This waw al-jama'a is the one that is telling you that it's a group of people. It's not just one person that did it. It's not just him. No, it's not both of them. It's them, all of them, right? So رأوا who. And then of course we have the ha, this ha attached pronoun. Now, attached pronoun to a verb is always a مفعول به. Oops. this ha is مفعول به attached pronoun. Okay. So رأوه, they saw it. And then we have zulfatan. Now, before we talk about zulfatan, we're going to talk about ra'a. Ra'a has two meanings. Okay, has two meanings. The first meaning is you actually saw something with your eyes. Like, for example, if I said, I saw a bird on a tree. I saw a bird on a tree. I literally saw it with my physical eyes. Like I didn't imagine it in my mind. No, I saw it with my eyes, right? But sometimes ra'a could also be what we call فعل قلب. Like it's a من أفعال القلوب. It's a perception of the mind. You don't actually see it with your eyes, but you see it with your mind. When I say, for example, I saw how do I say this? I can't think of an example. No. I
saw
saw.
him hungry. I
Sorry,
saw
what
him
did you say?
hungry. I saw him
Yeah,
hungry.
yeah, something like that. I saw him hungry, or I perceived him. Like it's not really seeing, you're perceiving him. You are imagining it in your mind. You are thinking that he is hungry. He's not really hungry, right? And you didn't physically see him, right? It's in your mind. Yeah. Or I think I perceive. I think translating ra'a as perceiving makes more sense. So if I say I perceive knowledge to be valuable, I perceive knowledge to be valuable. You're not actually seeing knowledge as valuable. You're not seeing with your eyes. No, you're imagining it with your mind. You're thinking that it is valuable, right? So that's the other meaning of ra'a. So it has those two meanings. Either it is a physical type of sight where you're actually physically seeing something, or it's a mental type of sight where you're seeing it in your mind. Okay? Now, they have distinguished the i'rab of these two. So when you're seeing it with your mind, then ra'a takes on two maf'ul bihis. When you're seeing it with your mind. But when you're physically seeing it, then now it takes on one maf'ul bihi and a hal. So how am I seeing it? I am seeing it in this way because I am physically seeing it. But if I'm seeing it with my mind, then I'm just imagining this to be this. So I'm seeing two maf'ul bihis. I know this is a concept you need to hear several times for it to sink in, but I just want you to know that ra'a in this case is basariya. Ra'a is a physical sight. Therefore, it takes one maf'ul bihi, we've already found it, and it's going to take on a hal. So one maf'ul bihi and a hal, because they're seeing Jahannam, they're seeing the adhab physically with their eyes. It's not in their mind. No, Jahannam is going to be brought to them. The adhab is going to be brought to them, and they're going to actually see it with their eyes. So this is a physical type of sight. And that's why zulfatan here is a hal. Okay? Of course, there's mentioned that it could be dharf, but honestly, let's just go with hal. It's easier to explain and understand. And it paints the picture that needs to be painted. Okay? So, فَلَمَّا رَأَوْهُ زُلْفَةً, when they see it, the punishment, zulfatan, nearby. How do they see it? Approaching, coming close, nearing, right? So how that explains how they are seeing it. So zulfatan means coming close, nearing, approaching. That's what it means. Is that clear? Okay. So when you don't speak up, by the way, I know you're comfortable, so I keep moving. That's just a system that
Yes, yes.
we developed. Okay, good. All right.
I
So
have
we've said, yes, go ahead. All right. I think you were just responding to me. Okay, fine. So we've said that Jumla Shartiya has three parts. Lamma, Adatu Shart. We figured that out. رأوه, فعل, شرط. And we also said it has a jawab of shart. So it's always up to us to find these three parts. Sometimes it could be mahdoof, and then we have to ask ourselves, okay, why? Why is it mahdoof? What's the meaning? What is intended? So on and so forth. But sometimes it is mentioned. right? So فَلَمَّا رَأَوْهُ زُلْفَةً, when they see it approaching, then what? سِيئَتْ وُجُوهُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. Their faces turn, their faces are grieved, they are saddened, they become gloomy. That's what happens when they see Jahannam. You can see the face turning. You know, when you see somebody like you don't like, somebody you hate, and your face just turns, you can't control it. It just happens. Or when you experience something you don't really like, your face turns. This is what's going to happen to the kuffar. They're going to be shown Jahannam. They're going to be shown the punishment. They're going to see it. And of course, here we're going to talk about what the punishment is. It could be a number of things because, again, it's not mentioned. There's no mention of adab. Like they just mocked. If you look at the ayat before, what did they say? They say, وَيَقُولُونَ مَتَى هَذَا الْوَعْدُ? When is this promise? So they were mocking the promise. And then the Prophet was told to tell them, look, I'm just a warner. Nothing but a warner. I'm only a warner. Right? So that's what they were told. And then Allah says, فَلَمَّا رَأَوْهُ. When they see it. What is it? We know it's the punishment. We know maybe it's the wa'd. Maybe it's going back to the promise that they were mocking. Or maybe some kind of punishment. We don't know what it is. Again, it's left ambiguous so that we can extrapolate and figure out what's happening there. So when they see it approaching, coming close, their face immediately just turns. It becomes gloomy, becomes distressed. They can now it's like they're having iman. Before they were mocking and rejecting and, dismissing, doing all these different things. But now they see it, their own faces. They, it shows how they're feeling. Yeah. The faces betray them. They know exactly what they're supposed to face, what they're going to face. We shall cover that in the explanation, inshallah. Don't want to give it away so much. So let's talk about si'at. Now we have already said that si'at, this is jawabu shart. And the reason why we don't have a fa, normally whenever we see a fa, we're like, yay, jawabu shart, I found it. But here there's no fa. So how do we know that this is the jawab? Because when you have fi'al madi and fi'al madi together like this, you normally don't get a fa. So because it matches, the shart matches the jawab. Of course, I'm simplifying it. It's much more complicated than this. But in the simplified version is that if you have a matching verb here and a matching verb here in the shart and the jawab, then you don't get a fa. So it just seamlessly moves into like that. Or if you have a mudari', fi'al mudari here and a fi'al mudari here, again, because it matches, no fa. That's kind of like how you can look at it. Again, I'm simplifying it. Do not, assume that this is the rule. No, I'm simplifying it for you. Okay. Si'at. Okay, first of all, si'at. This doesn't look, what kind of a madi is it? So we're saying it's madi, but we know madi, it doesn't have a kasra in the beginning like this. Like think about all the madis, qala, kana, fa'ala, kataba, whatever. Think of all that. It just has fatha in the beginning. Yeah, aslama, whatever. Okay, maybe unless it's e, then you have istaghfara, inqalaba, iqtaraba. But this is not a hamza, right? It's not sami'a. No, you have sami'a, fataha, daraba. So we have to ask ourselves, okay, why is there kasra in the beginning? Now you realize that this one is because it is actually majhul. This is how you know sarf. Okay, so when you know the sarf of this word, it's actually supposed to be sa'a. And we shall do the sarf actually in a bit. I think it's there. Yeah. So we'll do the sarf so that you can understand what's happening with the word si'a. But what I will just say for now is that this is ماضي مبني للمجهول and the نائب فاعل, because when it comes to مجهول we don't say فاعل, we say نائب فاعل. So نائب فاعل of it is here. Here, سيئت. Right. So what is this here referring to? Normally when we have a فاعل with an inside pronoun هو or here, we look ahead to see, is there something that could act as a fa'il outside dua? And then we see wujuhu. We see it is مرفوع, has a dhamma on it. So it is behaving like a fa'il, right? But wait, here is feminine. Wujuh is not feminine. So what's going on here? Then we remember that wujuh is actually what? A broken plural. It's supposed is singular is wajhun, face, one face, wajh. But plural is what? Wujuh. It's not wajhat. Normally when we are doing the Muslimun chart, we have Muslimun, Muslimuna. It's not wujuhuna or wajhuna or something like that. No, we can see that it is broken. It's not following the patterns that we are familiar with. So this is a broken plural. And what is the rule with broken plurals? They are treated as singular feminine. That's why we have si'at, okay, referring to a feminine, because we are talking about a broken plural here. So wujuh is actually the fa'il of si'at. Their faces are the ones that are going to si'at. They're going to be gloomy and to be saddened and grieved, so on and so forth. Now, wujuhu alladina. We have wujuhu alladina. Why is it not wujuhun? It's light, no al, right? So that means this, yes, na'ib fa'il. Yes, you're right. Sorry. Thank you for that correction. Na'ib fa'il. Why? Because this is mabni lil majhul. I just said that. And then I went and wrote fa'il. Yes, you're right. Na'ib fa'il. Wujuhun is na'ib fa'il. Now, wujuh is light, no al. That means this is a mudaf. Okay? And because I can't tell, when I look at alladina, I may not be able to tell. This wujuh is what is going to tell me that this is a mudaf. And because it's a mudaf, then alladina would be ism mawsul mudaf ilayhi. Okay? It's going to be ism mawsuf mudaf ilayhi. The faces. Faces of who? Faces of those who disbelieved. Of. Whenever you see faces of, then we're in the mudaf ilayhi world, right? So that's alladina is a mudaf ilayhi, and of course kafaru. Kafaru fi'al madi. Because of space, I'm just gonna write madi. And of course, again, what do we have here? We have hum wawul jama'a. Is there hum? The fa'il is wawul jama'a hum. Okay. Then we have waqila. Again, look at what's happening. So we have سيئت ماضي مبني للمجهول. قيل ماضي مبني للمجهول. What did we say about wow? That kind of comes between two things that match. This wow is going to be حرف عطف. So سيئت وقيل. Yeah, you're going to say حرف عطف, right? Okay. So this is going to be عطف and معطوف. So we have حرف عطف, wow, and then قيل is معطوف to سيئت. And both of them are ماضي مبني للمجهول. And of course the نائب فاعل in قيل is the inside pronoun هو. Yeah? Wait, no. Sorry. The نائب فاعل is actually this sentence. Wait, no. What am I saying? Yeah. Yeah. So this is the نائب فاعل. This whole sentence is the نائب فاعل. Right? And in that sentence, what do we have?
Is it because it's what? مقول القول?
Yes. So it was قال هذا الذي كنتم به تدعون. قال ماذا? This. This is what he said. So when you take it to مبني للمجهول, the مفعول به becomes the نائب فاعل because the فاعل is removed. هو قال? No, قيل. We don't know who did it, but this is what was done. I don't know who did it, but I know what was done. Right? So that's kind of what happens. The مفعول به becomes the نائب فاعل. Okay, so that sentence is going to be في محل رفع نائب فاعل. And when we enter into that, what do we have? We have هذا. هذا, we did this structure before, I think. Maybe just to recap so that you can understand. I think, is it here? أمن هذا الذي. So, هذا الذي. And then we also had هذا الذي. أمن هذا الذي. So this idea of هذا الذي, it kind of came before. So we have هذا الذي. So of course هذا is going to be our مبتدأ. And then الذي, we already did that before. We said that it's the صفة of هذا. So الذي is a صفة. It's describing هذا. هذا الذي. This is the one who. This, it could be this كنتم به تدعون. This is what you used to claim. But no, this is the one which you used to claim. Like I'm describing this هذا in that sense. And of course we said that this adds more. Like whenever you have more words being said, then more meaning is being generated. Okay? So الذي, again, of course, الذي, we know that is an اسم موصول, and the sentence that comes after it is going to be صلة الموصول لا محل لها من الإعراب. But inside that صلة الموصول, what do we have? We have a جملة. Well, we have كان, جملة كان. كنتم. So كان and its اسم. Right? So, and we know that whenever we see كان, we normally say فعل ناقص. So I'm just going to write ناقص because there's no space. And كنتم, أنتم is the اسم كان. So this is كان and its اسم. And of course, in بين terminology, we would call this مبتدأ. So كان is اسم. And then we have به تدعون. I think I'm running out of space here. So let's just do that. Okay. So now we've done that. So we have به. به جار مجرور. And we've talked about jar majroor so many times. Jar majroor, the chameleon of Arabic. It could be anything. So we have to ask ourselves, what is it متعلق to? Is it going back to kuntum? Or is it going back to something else, to da'un, for example? Actually, in this case, is muqaddam. And it's, so here's the thing. Kuntum is the mubtada, right? Or in bayna terminology. Then we have bihi tada'un is the khabar. Do you see that? So inside this khabar, we have bihi tada'un. And bihi then becomes متعلق جار مجرور متعلق بتدعون مقدم. Right? And so you have تدعون here is what? فعل مضارع. ادعى يدعي. ادعى يدعي. We will do the صرف in a bit. And أنتم تدعون. So this is فعل مضارع. And the فاعل is أنتم. Exactly. So به تدعون. Questions? All right. Let's look at the translation. Number 27. What are we going to? I don't know if there's anything of notice, but maybe just let's look at majhul here and let's see how they translated this idea of majhul. Okay, so then when they see the torment drawing near, so you can see this idea of zulfatan, to come near, to approach, draw near, right? The faces, look how we translate mabni lil majhul. We start with the naib fa'il. The faces of the disbelievers will become gloomy. So that's kind of how we translate مبني للمجهول. And it will be said to them this, right? This is what you claimed would never come. Okay. So once they will see it approaching, so you see again Zulfatan approaching, drawing near. Now, another important thing, this is what you were calling for. Here, we said this is what you claimed would never come. And this is what you were calling for. So you see there's a difference. Also here we have, this is what you used to call. This is what you were calling for. This is what you're calling for. This is what you used to ask for. Yeah, calling for. So why is there calling for and why is there claim? Because tada'un here actually has two meanings. Tada'un, idda'a could mean to call and it could also mean to claim. And also there's another qira'ah. Did we have? Ah, we have. See, we have qira'at. We can actually explore this. There's another qira'ah which is tad'un, right? Tad'un. So see here? To call for. Idda'a, to claim, right? To make false claim, which you would make false claim. And da'a yad'u, we did this in Sarf. Da'a yad'u, to call for something. So now you see two meanings are coming just with the same word, right? If you recite it as tad'un or you recite it as tad'un. So those are the two. And who claims this qira'ah? These two, Ruwais and Rawh. Okay. Yeah. So Yaqub and Ruwais or Yaqub and Rawh. That's how the Quran even has more richer meanings because of that. Oh, didn't mean to close that. I just meant to go back here so that we can look at the, yeah, so I think that's the idea there. Let's look at the layered translation. See, so when they see it up close, again, Zulfatan, how do they see it up close? How? So we said that this is a hal. How are they seeing it? Up close. The faces of those who disbelieved are pained. Talked about this idea, like see it, yani, you see the face changes somehow. So pained, grieved, distressed, something happens to their face. And this is what is said. And there are more things that you could, yeah. So this is where tada'un, you can see two meanings, alternative translations. You can read the explanation if you want, what about the qira'at and whatnot. Or you can expand the tafsir and see different footnotes there. This means that those people feel shock and grief, which is visible on their faces. We described that. Right, so that's ayah number 27. Again, if there are any questions, feel free to ask. But that brings us to the end of ayah number 27, or rather the i'rab portion of it. So now we're going to do a little bit of sarf. We don't have a lot of words. So yeah, today's session is going to be slightly shorter than most, I think. Let's see. All right, so let's begin. So right off the bat, we can see sa, da, ha. So sadiqeen, sadaqa. Those are the root letters. And this is sadiq. What does that rhyme with? Okay, maybe even before I go to what it rhymes with, I need to ask myself, okay, what is this? Sadaqa, yasduqu, or yasdaqu. I think it's nasara. Sadaqa, yasdaqu, yasduqu. Sadaqa, yasdaqu. Why do I have, sometimes you have some of this that are both. And so it, nasara yansur. Yeah, I was kind of right. Sadaqa, yasduqu. Yeah, but some of you can find sadaqa yasdaqu, I think, or with a different meaning. So you have to be careful which one it is. Anyway, so this is nasara. And then you have to ask yourself, sadiq, what does that rhyme with? Fa'il. Oh, so this is ism fa'il. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Right? So we try and do the sarf. Because now we know it's nasara family. So I'm going to rhyme it with nasara yansuru. So sadaqa, yasduqu, sidq. Again with the masadir, you just have to know which is which. You have to memorize. So صدق فهو صادق. There it is. Okay. And of course you can do the مجهول if you want. صدق يصدق صدق فهو مصدوق. Okay. So صادق, one person. Two people, صادقان, one, right?
صادقان.
Exactly. صادقان and صادقون. So three and more, صادقون. And of course, now when you have صادقون, then you have nasab version, like Muslimun chat. Now you have صادقين in nasab status and also صادقين in jar status. And this is the one that we are looking for, right? إن كنتم صادقين. It's mansub because it's the khabar of kana in the beginning. Because khabar of kana is always mansub. And it means صادقين, truthful people, of course. Like, because it's more than three, so it's many. Yeah? People who are truthful. Then you have mubin. Mubin, now this one, it's a bit tricky to know. But then, yeah, this one is tricky to know. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say, so this is bayana, okay? And this is family number 4. And mubinun is actually like, what else do we have? We have, so I want you to imagine Aslama family. When you put these root letters in Aslama family, we have abana, yubinu, ibana, fahuwa muslimun, mubinun. It was supposed to be like that, mubinun, but mubinun is yeah, mubinun. That's why it is mubinun. So they smoothed it out and it became mubinun. So that's what happened there. So this is ism fa'il. Okay. So this is, and of course there are a few that would say that this is sifa, but let's just stick with ism fa'il. It makes more sense. So abana, yubinu, ibana, like Islam, like aqama, yuqimu, iqama. That's the one you need to think about. So ibana, fahuwa mubinun, muqimun. Remember? Mubinun. So that's the sarf of this word. Abana, yubinu, ibana, fahuwa mubinun. Same thing, اسم فاعل, so مبين, مبينان, مبينون. Okay. Now, when it comes to the meaning, this is rather interesting because mubin, abana, has two meanings actually. It has the meaning of to make something clear. So abana, الشيء, he made it clear. But also abana when it's lazim. So abana as mutaaddi, to make something clear. Abana as lazim means to be clear. So it has the meaning of to clarify something else if it is mutaaddi, but it also has the meaning of clear. So it's either clear or clarifying. Mubinun could be clarifying, it clarifies something, or it could mean clear. It's very interesting. So that's why the Quran is called mubinun, because it clarifies and it is also clear in itself. Like if you have a piece of glass and you wipe it and it's clean, that's clear glass. But is the glass clarifying? No. But the Quran is clear in that the message is clear, but it also clarifies doubts for you. It makes things clear for you. Like Quran Mubin. Yeah. No worries. Feel free to push me back at any point. The who on ra'awhu goes back to what? When we check the translation, some say torment, others say it. What would it be? Yes, exactly. So it's like I pointed out, it's not really mentioned. So what the Mufassirun have mentioned that this who is going back to adab, and that's why you would see torment or punishment in the tafsir. فَلَمَّا رَأَوْهُ يعني رَأَوْا الْعَذَابِ. So instead of saying رَأَوْا الْعَذَابِ, which would limit it to just the idea of adab, Allah used the pronoun instead. Now, of course, that opens up a whole new world, because what was mentioned before was the promise. They were mocking the promise. So it could be فَلَمَّا رَأَوْهُ, when they saw the promise. But then when you see the promise, again, that's ambiguous, you know. So it could be adab, it could be death, it could be anything that approaches and makes their faces, you know, whatever it is that they were mocking, whatever it is that they were rejecting, whatever it is that they were denying the punishment, they were denying the day of judgment, they were denying resurrection. So all of these things are captured in فَلَمَّا رَأَوْهُ. Like sometimes you see somebody who is on their deathbed and they have been an evil person. What happens with their face? You see it turn, you see it change, you see it become gloomy. فَلَمَّا رَأَوْهُ زُلْفَةً, when they see it approaching, subhanallah, their punishment, they know what's coming. Their face changes. They can't say anything, because when they're at that point of death, they can't say anything. They lose the ability to speak. But their face, it screams terror. You can see terror in their eyes. You can see that they're afraid of what's coming. Subhanallah. فَلَمَّا رَأَوْهُ زُلْفَةً. I would argue that it starts at that point, at the point of death. When they see death coming, then they see the punishment of death, and then they go to adab al-qabr, and they see the adab al-qabr, and their face again changes. And then they are resurrected on the day of judgment, and they see Jahannam, and again their face changes. So it's not just, I would argue, it's not just one thing. It's a number of things that they keep seeing, and that's why it's not limited. It's not actually mentioned what this who is. فَلَمَّا رَأَوْهُ, when they see it. And again, using the pronoun instead of me spelling out, it makes it grander, makes it bigger. When they see it, it's not when they see the punishment. No, when they see it, like it's so horrible. I can only just say it. I don't have words to explain it, you know. So it increases on the terror. May Allah protect us. Yeah, so that's kind of what's happening with that. No worries. And again, if you guys want me to go back and explain anything, feel free. Yes, go ahead.
We also disdain Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is using it because he disdains from using the word
Yeah, because
of
it's going to be
Jahannam.
so horrible, so detestable, that they see it and it's just ugly. And yani, we talked about the descriptions of Jahannam in the beginning. It's scary and frightening, and it is detestable, and there is a lot of disdain, maybe. Could be, subhanallah. Allah Ta'ala alam. It, just by using it creates a lot of emotions. Yeah? Great. Great stuff. Okay, any other questions or anything that needs to be clarified? Are we good? Fantastic. So we just covered clarifying and clear. So let's go to see it. So I said that this one is mabni lil majhul, and this comes from, okay, we need to change. This comes from sin, waw, and hamza. Like so, su, yeah? Sa'a, that's the verb. So this is sa'a yasu'u, to become bad, to become ugly, to become things like that. Yeah. So si'at, we said this is madi lil majhul. By the way, sometimes if you're reading books, you would see لما لم يسمى مفعول or something مفعولة. The مفعول به is not, sorry, it's لما لم يسمى فاعله, sorry. The one in which the fa'il is not mentioned, right? You see something like that. It is just referring to مبني للمجهول. Okay, so again, you see that there's a weak letter in the middle. So this is like قال, كان, قام, that type of صرف. So we're gonna do it just like قال يقول قولا. ساء يسوء. And again, this is how you write يسوء. يسوء with the hamza standing alone. ساء يسوء, سوء or سوء. Both of them are correct. Again, with ثلاثي verbs, with family 1 to 6, you just have to memorize the masdar. ساء يسوء سوء فهو سائن, just like قائل, right? And if we were to do the مبني للمجهول, so we have سيء. Ooh, what did I do? سيء يسوء. Sorry, سيء يساء. And then of course the same مصدر, so فهو مسوء أو مسيء, depending on مسيء مسوء, right? Okay. So this is the one we're interested in, the مبني للمجهول, سيء. So هو سيء, هما سيء, هم سيء. Where's the thing? سيء. And then here, سيئت, right? And that's the one. And of course, هما سيئتا, هن سئنا. Maybe I could just write it so that you could appreciate what's happening here. هن سئنا. Of course, the ya goes away in this particular case, because you cannot have two sukuns. Look, this is what happens in Arabic. So this is a sukun. This is a sukun. This is a problem, because how do you read this? You can't read this. So the rule says when you have two sukuns meeting, the one that has the weak letter on it goes away. So you have si'na, not s'na. You can't really pronounce that. So that's what happens there. Anyway, so what does this mean? It means to be grieved, saddened, like to be gloomy, like something happens, right? Something that is bad, to go bad, right? So these are some of the meanings. Yeah. Kafaru, this is a very common word in the Quran. Make sure you understand the sarf in and out of it very, very well. So kafara, kafara, yakfuru, nasara, yansuru. We have quite a number of nasara, yansuru today. So kafara, yakfuru, kafaru. This is of course madi. So let's do the sarf. هو كفر يكفر يكفر كفر كفران, depending on, again, this three-letter word verbs, several مصادر. مصدers are many. كفر يكفر كفر فهو كافر, very common word in the Quran, right? So we're interested in the ماضي because we've said كفروا is ماضي. So هو كفر, هما كفرا, هم كفروا. There it is. So that means that this one means what? It means they disbelieved. And of course here, this is the one we were looking for, just to make it visually different. Okay. Finally, we have تدعون. Okay. Now تدعون, this one comes from dal, دعا, well, like دعا يدعو. We memorized this family when we were doing sarf. دعا يدعو. So this comes from the same root letters, but it comes from family 8. Okay, and تدعون is actually مضارع. How do I know? Because look at the ending. It ends with una. It begins with ta. We said that mudari, you have yant letters. Either ya, na, ta, a. Those are the letters. It begins, you see those letters in the beginning, and you see this una at the end, definitely mudari. It cannot be anything else. Fine. So now we've figured that out. Now I know that family 8 is اقترب يقترب, افتعل يفتعل. So what I'm going to do is, before I even write the sarf, I'm going to just take the root letters and put it in the template. before I figure out what's happening. So I'm going to say, okay, if I take da'awa and put it in iqtaraba, then I would have id, ta, wa. But id, ta'awa, So we're going to have, instead of the wow, because whenever you have naqis, this is naqis, in big families, from family 2 onwards, we don't have any one of them ending in wow. They're all ending in alif maqsura, regardless of whether the jidr is wow or ya. All of them, they end like this. All of them, right? So I've figured out step number 1. It's supposed to be idda'a. What? اقترب ادعى. This is just no, this something is I can't pronounce this. You see the dal and the ta in tajweed terms, they'll say this is from the same makhraj. It's from the same, like ta, da. It's almost the tongue goes up next to the teeth. Da, ta, right? So it's the same makhraj. So what happens is that they said, okay, fine, the ta, which is zaid, it's not part of the jidr, we're going to change it into a dal. Okay, so now what we have here is we have idda, idda'a. When I say it fast enough, it's like I'm saying the same thing. Idda'a, 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 idda'a. Same thing, right? So what happened next is that they said, okay, fine, you know what? We're having 2 dals.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. We're going to put a shadda on it. So now we have idda'a. So that's the kind of changes that happened into this whole business. So the madi is idda'a. Now we can just continue and say, okay, yadda'i. Do the sarf the way we normally do. Idda'a, yadda'i, iddi'a. That's the masdar. And put the shadda there so that you can clearly see. Iddi'a. فهو مدعٍ. That is the اسم فاعل. مدعٍ. So we said that this is مضارع. So يدعي. هو يدعي. هما يدعيان. هم is supposed to be يدعيون. But wait a second, we don't like yuna business, right? So what do? We get rid of the weak letter. So now what do we have? يدعون. And there it is. Okay, and what does it mean? Like we've said, it has 2 meanings. So they claim this is the most common meaning. And of course, if you're reading this as تدعون, not they, you, sorry, you claim. If you're reading this as تدعون, then it will be you call for, you invite, you, yeah. That's why da'wah is called, inviting people to Islam, da'wah. Same kind of idea. Calling people to Islam is da'wah. You're inviting them to Islam, da'wah. Great. I think we're going to stop there because I mentioned ayah number 28 is a lot. I have to break down a number of concepts. And I don't want to do it at the end of the class. I would rather do it at the beginning of class. So we're going to stop there. Are there any questions or anything, corrections, clarifications, anything at all? Feel free. But otherwise, we can end there for today, inshallah. Okay, we've covered this. All right. Okay, so again, just a reminder, what's going to happen next week is we're going to do the explanation of the ayat that we have covered. And then the week after that, we would finish the Nahw portion, the Sarf portion of this class. And let's say we have about 3 more weeks to finish this entire series, inshallah. Or maybe more. Why am I saying 3? No, because explanation, we're a bit behind. Yeah. So anyway, we have just a few number of weeks until we finish. I hope you're excited. I'm personally more excited about the very, very last class. So if you're going to miss any class, do not miss that one. That one is one class you want to make sure that even if you don't attend, make sure you watch the recording because it's going to summarize everything for you in a very nice way. And you will see everything much more clearly. Inshallah. May Allah enable us to reach there. Right. I'm going to stop there. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. See you guys next week.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله. جزاك الله خيرا كثيرا.
إياكم جزاكم الله خير.